I never thought would give me what I truly wanted was the very thing that gave me what I truly wanted.
You had a goal to be a speaker.
I started going through a bit of a, I guess you could say, rock bottom about 6 years ago. It was the first love breakup, and it ruined me, to be honest. I don't want it to be stop at 31.
Yeah.
But for it to go forward, I think the transition will be going from showing myself that I can do it
Yes.
to being a lot more about everyone else.
Energy is transferable. If you are feeling a bit shitty today, it's gonna leak somewhere, and you don't want it to pass it on to your other people. We won't say shit, but you know what I mean, right? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of A Seed of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host Harry, and today's guest, he's doing wonders on the Gold Coast at the moment. Well, around Australia, I would say, because he's pushing the buttons of people, but the right buttons, I would say. Yes, our guest today is an osteopath, and I would like to welcome Dr. Ash Hamilton from Step One Osteopathy. Ash, welcome. Welcome to Seed of Wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Excited?
Yeah.
Man, you're doing a lot these days.
It's been a busy few start of the year, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot. I've seen your journey, and it's like go. 7 a.m. start, 8:30 finish. Next day, do it all over again.
It is a bit like that.
Yeah.
And I think I like to view things as seasons. And I know that this is it's a season in my life, and it's not going to be, the thing I always do. But I think what I've learned anyway is when you have a clear start and finish line, having those seasons of intensity,
Yes.
you need them. But as long as you know how to come out.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, as I was saying to you before this podcast, the next 2 weeks, once that's done, the season closes and we can take a step back a little bit more again.
What does this season look like for you at the moment?
I would say it's transformation.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I've been stepping into the speaker identity and, traveling around Australia doing these talks and that's extremely new for me.
Yeah.
So I haven't done that before. So that's stretching my, I guess, who am I? I would have identified as an osteopath and one-on-one sessions, and now it's like adding speaking into the mix. But behind the scenes, I'm also developing a bit of a group program.
Oh,
so
right.
a 3-month kind of transformation program, which is going to be separate to osteo.
Yeah.
So getting used to stepping out of one-to-one, osteopathy being the primary thing that people come to me for, and stepping into, I guess, this new identity of stepping more into the mind and body, the speaking, and developing that transformation work, which is something I'm so passionate about.
Which is good because you're doing your work, but then again, with your 3-month group coaching or in one-on-one, there will be like you'll see the transformation very closely. The little knickknacks you're gonna see in there, like, oh, and it's like a little light on for you too. You're like, fuck, I've never seen any of this before. It's new for me. Like, I'm learning as well, because I think this will be a big learning curve for you as well. And also with your talks, I would say, how much have you learned in the last 6 weeks about yourself?
It's wild. I was literally messaging a videographer that I had in Melbourne, and they joined me on talk number 5.
Wow.
And I said, today's talk 27, and it's been such a short period of time, but that growth, it's taught me so much about myself. And that's what I've loved about speaking. Not only do you get to meet people, not only get to talk about what you love, but there's different environments, there's different crowds, there's having to adapt on the fly, the talk, because you're like, it's not the right time to deliver it like that. So I think for myself, it's been a self-development journey for myself in being like, okay, how can I adapt? What is it like being seen by people that have never met you before? That first impression piece. What happens if they know nothing about what I'm going to talk about?
Yes.
Can I get them on board, or are they going to kind of resist me? So I've definitely learned that we're a lot more resilient than we we sometimes believe we are,
Yes.
but also trusting the unknown.
Yeah.
I think that would be the biggest piece of this last chapter, is that there's been so much unknown, and having to be okay with that, and kind of learn along it as you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man, with you on that. The resilience, like sometimes in my life as well, like since I moved to Australia like 18, 19 years ago, and, driving along the beach when you're by yourself, I don't know, it's a men thing or it's just in general, like you start reflecting on your life, oh, I was only 18 when I moved there, unknown country, only knew one person, and then where I'm right now with all the lessons I've learned. And it's only show that how resilient I am. I never back off. Like, it's always, this shall pass, as we say,
Yeah.
It's just the season.
Yeah.
So I really love that thing when you see yourself, you reflect like, fuck, Ash, 10 months ago, you never thought about these 31 talks before you turned 31. And actually, where did that came from? Who pushed that button in you?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more, because if you asked me July last year, would you be doing this next year, Ash? I would have said I would like to, I would love to, but I didn't think I would be.
Yeah.
And last July, I actually stepped into wanting to actually claim that I wanted to be a speaker, not living in when I have a PhD, when I have done this, when X, Y, Z. It's just like, no, I choose right now. And I made that decision in July, but it probably took me 6 months to really take that first step.
Wow.
Step one, if we want to play on my business title. And I attended a 3-day course.
Right.
And when I was at that 3-day course, at the start of the session, they were like, okay, we're going to close our eyes. And at the end of this 3-day event, who do you want to be? What are you willing to let go of? And I wrote down 3 things. No one's going to get in the way of my goals. I'm going to be a go-getter, and I'm going to be a speaker. And I underlined that. And it was later in the day, and the event was great. I was like, this is epic. And they mentioned that after the event, that an hour later, they were going to have their, I guess, long-term students presenting. And it didn't really interest me. I was like, I've got a housemate dinner. I haven't done a housemate dinner. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
It would be great, but it's not for me. And then they went on to say, 3 people from today's event can speak tonight.
Wow.
And you can have professional footage to kickstart your speaking career.
Damn.
And as I said, I'm getting those tingles. And it was that moment where I just stopped and I'm like, this is what I have to do.
This is it. Yeah.
The conflict was, in 2 hours, I was meant to have a housemate dinner that I'd organized. I bought a Weber barbecue and all the supplies to, have homemade pizzas. And I had to make that decision between being that nice guy and stepping into what I truly wanted.
Yes.
And I remember 2 of the people ran up the back of the room. They signed up and he's like, 1 spot left. Once it's gone, no more speakers. And I just had to get out that phone and send that text message. Long story short, I ended up getting on stage and having no preparation and speaking for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I truly blew my mind at what was possible. I was like, wow, like there was no preparation here. This was just trusting and following the thread.
Yeah.
And I kind of like proved to myself, I'm like, wow, you can do this. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, well, if I can do this with no preparation, imagine if I had preparation. Imagine if it was on something that I do every day.
Yes.
And the mentor, his name's Miroslav. He had actually done 108 talks in a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And again, he showed that it was possible. And I set a goal last year for my 30th. And I was like, I really like that, like turned 30. I did this. I can remember this. And I'm like, what am I going to do for 31? And I'm like, how about 31 talks before I'm 31? And I was like, the self-belief was there. It'd been mapped out that it was possible to get this amount of talks done.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go. So here we are.
The reason I ask this question is while you're doing this talks, this speaking, the work that you've been doing is healing something in you. And whatever you are healing in yourself, you can help your clients, your people who are coming to you. Because as we say, the master has already mastered what the student haven't even started yet. So with my work, I only done one session with you, right? And mostly was energetic. So you have created space within your field that you can help your clients to move that energetic stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And consciously or unconsciously, you are putting that confidence in your people who coming to see you, so they can also start growing and flying and removing the weights that been holding them down, because you have done it and your energy is like flowing. Yes, as you say, after every session you have to reset. Why? Because it's somebody new coming in, new energetic field, so your energetic field have to expand again, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because it was connecting to me, like, I see when I spoke to you and I came for a session with you, which we're going to get into it, because I didn't want to just jump straight into, oh, what are you doing, everything. Like, I wanted to, create this before. Is like, as I spoke to you, I said, there's a purpose for me coming to you, right? After the session, and now I'm getting back into my podcasting again, episodes again, because I had few things I need to deal with before, right? But I see that your purpose for doing this, so you can fly to next level, because you might have been going through a lot of internal conflicts, which basically you didn't want to pass on to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because energy is transferable. If you are feeling a bit shitty today, it's gonna leak somewhere. And you don't want it to pass it on to your other people, because they already have a lot of shit in them, right?
Yeah.
We won't say shit, but you know what I mean, right? So yeah, it's amazing, bro. And I think after these 31 talks, there will something bigger and better will unlock in yourself, which you're not even thinking right now. It's only talk 27 today. Yeah. So let's see after your birthday, because in our culture they say, the last months coming like close to your birthday, we are releasing. A lot of things are ending, because your birthday is your birthday. You're birthing again. It's like phoenix,
Wow.
So that's so what are you doing right now before your birthday is like old ash, because 31 is going to be a new chapter. The new decade starting for you in your life. So
yeah.
So I see it that way.
I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It even feels like this 31 was for me.
And
I was thinking and reflecting, I don't want it to be stop at 31.
Yeah.
But for it to go forward, I think the transition it'll be going from showing myself that I can do it.
Yes.
To being a lot more about everyone else. And being, I guess, the vessel to bring this message to the world.
Yes.
That's what I really realized. It's like this 31 talks, as much as I'm loving it, I'm giving as much as I can to everyone else. I think it's mostly about myself, stepping into that identity. And in order to keep that identity going forward, it needs to really be about everyone else. And being like, what is that message that I really want to bring to that world? And that why that's beyond myself.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the transition that's coming.
There you go. Yeah. And that's what because planning this podcast today, I had nothing in my mind. I'm like, I would like to show up and talk about, yes, like we're going to get into your work, what do you do? And, but I wanted to know a bit deeper, like where is this 31 talk started? And yeah, it's your birthday, but you had a goal to be a speaker, because I see as like when you're a speaker, the effect is on a larger scale. You like one-on-one in your clinic is one person, but when you're speaking to the general public and it only helps you to, your message is getting bigger. That's why being a public speaker is not an easy thing. There's so many things you have to just leave it behind in your mind because you're not thinking. When you were speaking, you said 10 minutes you spoke in the speaker event. You're not thinking. But that's the problem with the mind. Our mind always going to hold us back.
Absolutely.
It has to be stronger, right? So, and now that 10 minutes led you to freaking growth in these few months.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that's my 2 cents in that. All right, maybe let's start with your next step in the journey. Would love to know a bit about you, where you came from. I know you told me about Melbourne, like, and how did you move up here, and what made you move to the Gold Coast?
Yeah, so I was in Melbourne for 28 years.
Wow.
So family, friends,
Yeah.
I guess you could say old Ash, it was all there for 28 years. And I started going through a bit of a, I guess you could say, rock bottom about 6 years ago. It was the first love breakup, and it ruined me, to be honest.
Right.
There was this, I'd never felt that level of pain, and what I decided was I never wanted to feel that pain again.
Right.
I was naive because I now realize that you can't escape pain. It's just how you deal with it.
Deal with it.
But that kind of set me, initially it was down a spiral. Drugs, alcohol, partying, trying to fill a void. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I didn't know I had so much emotions. It really been suppressed after I left school, and was only something that was really kept for the home.
Right.
You know, I was very emotional growing up at home, but no one ever saw that side when I went to school. Which makes sense, right? I felt comfortable to express that around my family, and
Yes.
it wasn't okay to do that at school.
Yeah.
And as a man, it's not okay, you know, that belief that many have, which is a lie, to express at school.
Yeah.
So through the darker times, I then ended up finding myself into a men's group. And that is when my life started changing. It was 4 months of learning different practices to learn about myself, to regulate my emotions, to express my emotions. And in that period, things just started dramatically changing. From my physical health to my relationship with my parents to my relationship with myself, physical symptoms started disappearing. And I started questioning, I'm like, wow, like this thing that I never thought would give me what I truly wanted was the very thing that gave me what I truly wanted. And I started changing even how I started approaching people in the clinic. I was working for other people in Melbourne, and I was very biomechanics, very rehab, very movement focused. That is the lens that I truly believed all things stemmed from.
Yes.
And when I started having these own experiences in my own life, I started being like, hold on a second, this doesn't make sense. But I leant in and I got really curious, and I started having different conversations with my clients, and I started changing ultimately who I started attracting. I started attracting people a lot more with chronic pain. And the reason why I love chronic pain is because with an acute injury, if you woke up with a sore neck, you can have inflammation, you can have some joint restriction, you can have muscle guarding. It can be very physical orientated.
Yes.
Even if there might be some other stuff that contributed. However, with chronic pain, it's typically bypassed the amount of time that the tissues should have healed itself.
Right.
So this is where the individual story really comes in. And this is what I started seeing parallels between my own story was, this event happened. No one ever asked me about what happened in my life. These emotions never got expressed. They were getting stored in my body. And when I finally identified and released them, it emptied my cup. I felt better and I started healing. And along with this, I guess, transformation, like I was changing internally. It wasn't just professionally. My friendships started changing. Who I started attracting into my life started changing. People in a different pay bracket started coming into my life. It was so interesting to see how, as I changed, my external world changed.
Yes.
And I guess I was still involved with many friends in Melbourne, but they were starting to change. There wasn't, I guess, as much attachment to 10, 15 years of friendship. And there was nowhere that was really calling out to me. I'd lived a few places, I'd worked a few places, and there was nowhere going, I love this place. So I came up to Gold Coast for a weekend, attended a men's event, and in that 3 days, I stayed in Burleigh, and I was like, this is it. This is incredible. Like walking at 5 a.m., everyone's so active. Everyone's in personal development in the community, and I was just like, I want to be here.
Yes.
So I remember saying, in September, I'll be here. I don't know how, but I will be here. Long story short, I ended up arriving the last day of September. And how everything, the synchronicities that fell in place to allow me to move was the first time I'm like, there is something It's like I knew there was something beyond myself, but it was like there was no second guessing. It was like that couldn't have fallen in place how it did if there wasn't a power greater than myself.
Wow.
And that, yeah, I literally moved up, I guess, to start fresh, to be like, I want to choose this life. I can create the life I want. It's within me to make a choice. And then I was like, wow, well, I guess I better start a clinic. What am I going to do for work?
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone. I hadn't run a business before.
Wow.
And I just winged it. So
you got to do what you got to do.
yeah, and that in itself was an initiation. I'd lived at home, probably till 26, 27.
Yes.
So I hadn't had much experience. I was an adult in a little boy. There was a little boy inside, and that initiation of moving away, starting a business, really taking life into my own hands and showing myself it's like you don't have to live your life this way if you don't want to.
Yes.
So that's a bit of, I guess, what got me here.
That's pretty wild. Like, as I say, I have this belief that everything happens at the right time.
Yep.
We can't push it. Even if you're pushing it, you're just pushing it, but it's not that time that has arrived when this will happen, right? I look at my life as a Netflix episode, like a seasons. Today's a new episode. What's going to happen today? We can only show up, but whatever is going to happen is already, as they say, is written. Some believe it, some don't. We think like we create our own destiny, but as we say, when we coming to this world, we chose everything. It's written. Like we choose our parents, we choose our friends, karmic partners, who's gonna hurt us, who's gonna make our life better, who's gonna help us grow. Like meeting you, there's a reason. Because I was going through pain. There were so many osteopaths on the Gold Coast, but you were the chosen one, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I said. We meet people at the right time. You probably met some, like, which men's group did you go to for the?
It was a guy called Tyron Mowbray.
Oh yeah, Tyron.
Yeah. So I worked with him for many years.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I started off in the 4-month program, and then I worked one-on-one, and then I joined his 12-month program, and then I did his in-person events, and then I moved here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyron does some great job. Like his work is amazing.
Again, it was the right person at the right time.
There you go.
And the irony that the fact that Tyron lives a certain life, he looks a certain way, he was that person that allowed me and gave me the conviction that you can feel your emotions.
Yes.
Because he looked like a guy that wouldn't.
And
that was like, wow, like he doesn't look like he would express his emotions, but he's about emotions.
Yeah.
Again, everyone has those persons that they resonate with.
Yeah.
But for me, if it was a yogi on a hill in yoga pants, I probably wouldn't have been as inclined to kind of resonate to get me started.
It's just like, it's just the face sometimes people create. But if you are coaching somebody, if you are helping someone, you have to be real.
Yeah.
You have to, yes, Tyron, because I remember when Tyron came to Brotherhood the first time we were training, and Tyron was just walking past on the beach.
Yes.
And then he came up to Guy, and that's where Tyron started, because he also moved here to the Gold Coast years ago. And yeah, Tyron looked certain way. People will say, oh, this guy, but he's cool dude.
Yeah.
He's cool man. He's like everything, so good on you, Tyron. All right. That was your little bit intro, how you came to sunny Gold Coast. Welcome. And I hope you're enjoying it. You might need to get some tan like me.
Definitely.
All right. I got some questions I would like to ask. What are your beliefs around the human body that most people or even most health professionals do not fully understand?
The first one would be unpacking or asking better questions. And what I mean by that is, if you're in the industry, I truly believe that you think the body can heal itself.
Yep.
And sometimes that can be questioned where we believe we can heal one thing, but when it's serious or extreme, we can't then suddenly heal that. Yes. And the best way I kind of like to articulate my, I guess, understanding of this is that there's a law in thermodynamics, and it states that you cannot create energy and you cannot destroy energy. Yep. which implies that we have 100% energy available to us. And those listening might be like, oh, well, I definitely don't feel like I have 100% energy, Ash. So the question we got to ask is why? Why do you not feel like you have 100% energy?
Yeah.
And what is consuming that? And that's why I love chronic pain, because it's a game of like trying to find the puzzle piece. And that's where you truly got to understand the individual in front of us. And it only gets you so far by looking at the symptom. My shoulder hurts, my neck hurts, I've got a rash. That doesn't tell us anything about who you are.
Yes.
And the more you talk to someone and the more you actually truly try to get to understand them, they will give you the puzzle pieces. It's your job just to connect the dots. And a lot of the time, it's about looking into the past and finding out what is consuming that person's resources that's preventing them from having 100% availability in this moment to heal. So that would be the first thing, is that one is like realizing that when we say the body can heal itself, it's like asking better questions. The second one would be not approaching everything as just physical. You know, if you want to go in a more of a vibrational level, you know, David Hawkins brought this to attention, where it's like there's different frequencies. And people might understand that shame is the lowest frequency. If you don't understand it, just think about how great you feel when you have shame. You don't. It's heavy. It's slow. It's lethargic.
Yeah.
And as you kind of go up the frequencies and they start getting faster, you know, joy being one of the top, you feel great. You feel enthusiastic. You're invincible. You feel light. The same thing can be with the physical body. The physical body, like, you know, this table, it's matter. It's dense. And as you kind of go up the frequencies, things become a lot more lighter. And that, you know, that's where I guess people that have those spiritual beliefs, it's about transcending up those frequencies. But what I'm getting at is that the density, the physical body, I believe is the last thing that takes a hit. And that it's the internal world of that individual through days, weeks, months, years, leads to a certain physical presentation.
Wow.
So I would rather look at what's going on internally, because you can make fast changes when it's working on someone's beliefs, someone's perceptions, someone's emotions. You can make changes very quickly. The physical body is dense. It takes a lot longer to make those changes.
Yes.
It's just like if you want to get a six-pack and you got to lose weight, it's not an overnight process. That's called surgery. So I think that if we truly start reverse engineering it, and instead of looking at the physical body, start looking at what would have led to those things occurring in the physical body, instead of trying to start with the physical body and working backwards. So I think that would be the thing to consider, is instead of breaking and again segmenting things into the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, or the respiratory system, the cardiology system, the immune system, the musculoskeletal system, like we're so big on separation. But it makes no sense when it comes to healing. Like if we were doing an example, if you have a best friend or a partner and you love that person, when you separate and you create distance, how does that usually feel in the body? Usually there's this sense of like disconnect, initially anyway. So why do we, when we come to wanting to heal the body, do we want to disconnect it? Why do we want to separate it? Because when we look at the yin and the yang, which is encompassing unity, which is wholeness, that's where we can heal. I have a saying that's like, you know, if we have two legs and I was to run a 100-meter race and I was running with one leg, you'd be like, Ash, that's not the most efficient way.
Yeah.
But when it comes to running the race of life, we expect we can use half of ourselves and get the best outcome. We need to use all of ourselves, and we need to stop separating things. Yes, there is a time and place to look at these individual systems, but a lot of the time that's, you know, if we looked at a waterfall, the top of the waterfall, maybe that's the nervous system. But again, even you could say that that's segmenting a system, right? And then you got all these parts down the bottom of the waterfall. Specialists are at the bottom of the waterfall and they have their own discipline. But we need to start asking, how do we connect these dots? How do we connect things into, I guess, wholeness? And that's where energy is the one thing. There's no separation. You know, your body's not like, oh, that's my back energy or that's my mind energy. It's just energy. And energy makes up everything. So I think that, you know, it might not be a belief system, but it might be an approach. But even when individuals come to me, they're like, my back hurts. I say, no, I hurt. Or my shoulder is uncomfortable. No, you are uncomfortable. And people sometimes, we want to separate things because we want to create distance between what we perceive ourselves and that thing because it's uncomfortable, right? And to take ownership, but to bring it back in and to accept it, that's the only way that we can move forward. And it's usually that separation that is leaving so much clues. Like I had an individual recently who said, you know, my back is depressed. My back is unhappy. It's agitated. No, you are depressed, agitated, and there's things. And this individual, they weren't comprehending it. And I said, if you were a school teacher right now, and there was a kid in the corner, and they felt left out, and they were isolated, and they were curled up in a ball, how would you approach that situation? And they said they would go over there and they'd nurture that individual. They would try and include them. They'd try and bring them back to the tribe. And I said, so why are you separating yourself from your back? Because your back is that little kid in the corner and you're trying to push it away.
Yeah.
You're trying to avoid it, ignore it. And it's like that individual, that part of yourself needs to be seen. It needs to be included. What is it trying to say? So I think that if we can start taking these bits and pieces, that's how you truly heal. It's like, how do you come back to wholeness? And it doesn't mean it's easy and it doesn't mean it's comfortable because usually we separate from things we don't want to look at.
Yeah.
But that's part of the process. And that's why I call it the gift of injury. And if you look back at your life, you will see all these events that you had a charge on in that moment. You might have lost that job. You might have had that breakup. But you have enough time and space, you'll look back and say thank you. You'll see how that connected the dots to get you exactly where you are today.
Yeah, it's just carrying forward.
100%. So why is it any different when we have pain? How can we start seeing the support in the challenge? How can we start seeing it's on the way and not in the way? It's about stopping, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it's like starting to ask better questions. What am I getting from it? How am I benefiting from it? How could this be serving me? Oh, it's forcing me to slow down in my business. Well, what's my goal? To leverage. Well, if I'm always busy, I'm not going to be able to work on the business. If I'm always busy, I won't be able to reflect to see what's working. If I'm always busy, I won't have time to leverage and hire people. Oh, maybe it's teaching me to slow down, to reflect, become more aware. Oh, that's actually helping me in my business. So again, I think it's about asking better questions, but that would be where I would start with, I guess, what people in the health industry might not think about when it comes to healing.
That's a pretty good answer, man. And you know, when you touched on that, the partners, when you separate, there's like you feel pain. But also, because you sleep like together, but if there's one of them is not there, like is away for holiday or something, you can't sleep the first night properly because you like feel like there's something missing in bed, you know, and then it takes you a few days to just get over it. And then as soon as the partner comes in, sleeping next to you, you sleep like that. It is true. It's that the connection, the energy there, yin and yang. If it's missing, you're not gonna move forward, I guess. Slowly, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
The next question I wanted to know is, when a patient walks into your clinic, what subtle cues like you notice before they even speak? Do you pick up on things like, this guy is walking, limping, or...
There's definitely the obvious, right?
Yeah.
But I think the answers don't always lay in the obvious. And also sometimes it's not necessarily related to what we think. And I'll give you a story. So I had a client recently and I came out and I was running a bit late and I made a joke about being, sorry about being late, but I'm sure it was worth the wait. And I was met with, I guess, some resistance. Anyway, I was like, oh, interesting. And the client sat down and, we started getting into it. And immediately I could tell that they were uncomfortable. They didn't want to be there. And I'm like, I need to touch on this before we talk about the body. And I asked them, I'm like, what's going on? Like, you don't seem like you're present right now. And they're like, I am so stressed. I am so stressed. I've got all this work I need to do. There's deadlines, and it's just consuming me. And this might not be the most typical approach, but I said in that moment, I'm like, we can call the session right now, and I won't count it. Would that help you? And instantly I just felt this lightness in them, and they're like, yeah, that really would. Thank you. I ended up sending them on their way.
Wow.
I walk out the reception's like, that was a quick consult. What I'm getting at is that it was that subtle kind of energetics, because I know that client would not have received what they needed to receive with a traditional approach. They weren't in the headspace. They weren't energetically there. So instead of trying to, I guess, change that energy or change where they were at, it's like there was something much more consuming in their life that I believe if we addressed that would have a much more profound impact on what they were experiencing. So I think it's those subtle kind of energetics of like how a client comes in. But to kind of go back to your question, I think, yes, there is how they walk and how they sit down and stuff, but I think it's that opening sentence of how they describe what's going on. That gives so much information, and it gives information on like how the process is going to be.
Yeah.
If they start with my body's fucked or I'm broken or, you know, I've seen X amount of people, like we're already starting from a certain position. Yes. And if we don't touch on that and we go straight into, oh, what are you experiencing? Yes. I think we miss that buy-in, we miss that trust.
Yeah.
Because I want to know why you potentially have seen 15 other people. What was your experience with those people? Where did that belief that you're broken come from? Yeah. Oh, this surgeon said based on my scan. Okay, cool. If we don't address that, then we're starting from the wrong starting line. So I think that some of these little small nuance things really kind of set the container or the session to then move forward.
That's actually, and I think like more patients or more people gonna come to you. I think this question will always be like, okay, let's see what's coming up today.
Yeah.
Somebody walking through the door, and soon you're gonna start energetically gonna pick up. I think. This is just a general question. Like, what are the most common root cause of pain that people never suspect?
Suppressed emotions. 100%. Because again, emotion is energy in motion.
Energy in motion, yeah.
And, you know, there's the whole saying, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? Because you need movement. You need to move that energy. And it's just like a pond that doesn't move and have free-flowing water. It becomes stagnant. Yeah. The same thing, if you don't move your body, it's going to become stagnant. But if you don't move those emotions, they're going to build up. Yeah. Like they want to be expressed. And in the beginning, you might be able to suppress them. But when things get tough or when you get tired or maybe you're taking substances or whatever it is, they're going to come out. They have to come out. You can't get away with it. Yeah. You know, I have a saying, you can get away with it until you can't. It's like the feather, the brick, and the tow truck.
Yeah, the tow truck. Yeah.
You know, it's just like people like, they can get away with it and then it gets a bit louder. And then sometimes people are forced, and it's unfortunate that people have to get there, but it's a big enough wake up to be like, hey, you got to look at this. And the physical body it's like our vehicle for life. It's our car. And that's why people say it's like when you're sick, usually the only thing you care about is getting better.
Better, yeah.
Nothing else matters because you're like, if this car can't get me through life, I'm dead. And then everything else doesn't matter, right? So I think that suppression of emotions would be definitely up there. And then that would come into the awareness of oneself. I think that due to the nature of just life these days, there's so much stimulation. There's so much access to phones and computers and dopamine. And that's not bad. That's where we're going with life. Let's not pretend we're not going there. And we're not living back in the day where we're, living on the land. And I know there's a lot of people that want to go back there, and I'm not saying that wouldn't be conducive with a healthy life, but we also got to appreciate that we are humans and we will adapt to this new, I guess, life. However, that being said, I think it's created a disconnect between the mind and the body. It's created a disconnect between ourselves, and we don't have that ability to sense and to understand what those messages are. We don't have an accurate interpretation. For example, if someone's having their heart beating fast, someone who's very in touch with themselves is like, I might be having a heart attack. Someone who is quite in tune with themselves might be like, oh, I just had a second coffee. I've got a talk that I'm not looking forward to. I'm a bit anxious right now.
Yes.
And they have a more accurate interpretation about what they're experiencing. So I think that would also play into what I see that causes these kind of niggles. Because so many people, when I ask them, and I don't ask them like it now, as I used to ask people, are you stressed? And they're like, no, life's great. And I used to stop there. And now I go with, well, your mind tells me one thing and your body says another thing. That's why I use the cup analogy. It's when the cup fills up, and what I mean by the cup filling up is we're carrying so many plates, and eventually we reach our threshold and it overflows. And everyone gets their own individual kind of symptom. It might be back pain, knee pain, rashes, autoimmune flare-up. Some people it's cancer.
Yes.
But the same concept stands as there has been an overload of your capacity. And the symptoms are like the light on the dashboard that's like, hey, just check that thing out. The body is literally giving you what it needs. But so many people think the body is working against them. And I say to them, I'm like, do you know every single enzymatic reaction and chemical compound in the body? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, if it's so complex and you can't comprehend the complexity and the brilliance and magnificence of the body, how can you possibly stand there and say it's working against you?
That's huge.
Because the body doesn't care about our goals. It cares about survival. And its intelligence is greater than the mind's ability to comprehend that. You know, I think that mindset stuff is great. You know, people like David Goggins, and I forget his name, but they have shown you how resilient and mentally strong we can become to overcome the most. I can't even comprehend what he can go through because he's so mentally strong.
Yeah.
But your strengths at some point will become your biggest weaknesses. And that's a hard pill to swallow because they can override those signals of the body. And there's a time and place for that. If we're running away from a bear, that sore knee, you need to override that. However, if you override that for days and weeks and years, there's a time when the body's like, no, I'm going to put on the brake. We're going to stop because we're hurting and we need to address this. And that's where that pushy mentality, that mindset of like, I am stronger than my sensations or no pain, no gain, it becomes now a weakness. And that can be really hard for people because you need to let go of your mental strength to listen to the body. But vice versa, people that are very in tune with their body and like, that doesn't feel good for me. If I live in that world, I'm not going to work. Some days I'm like, I just don't feel like it. But I need that mental strength. So again, it's the yin and the yang. It's not isolation. It's not separation. It's both. And I think, again, there's a time and place where you do have to override, but there's a time where you need to take a step back and listen. So I think if I was to summarize what I'm saying is like that would be this area that people don't consider when it comes to physical niggles, symptoms, disease.
And we can see that in men sometimes. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. I'll work through it.
Yeah.
But just working through it can do long-term damage.
100%.
And then you realize, oh, I should have addressed it.
Yeah.
You know, and then they think like there's a magic pill or a magic hands that they can change this, but it's gonna take them longer now to heal whatever has been damaged, right? So yeah, it's a good explanation, man.
And I think just to touch on that men's thing, it's like there's a big assumption that it is weakness. And weakness then might imply either inferiority, but that we're not moving forwards. But growth isn't linear. Anyone who tells you that growth is linear and it's only in one direction, they're lying to you. Because nature isn't linear. And the way I kind of view it, if we had a yin and a yang and strength is on one side and weakness is on the other side, you might be an 8 out of 10 when it comes to strength and pushing. But you might be a 2 in terms of accepting weakness. But you've got so much growth available to you in that side of the continuum. It's very hard to go from an 8 to a 9 to a 10 out of 10. But then you're capped. And then you've got all this potential on the other side, 80% that you haven't tapped into. That's growth. And that's where you might initially, again, keyword initially, step backwards. But if you zoom out long enough, it is progress.
Yeah.
Because again, if your strength is an 8 out of 10 and that's your mentality just to push through, to ignore it, all those things, when the body says no, you're going to have to look at that weakness. You have to become okay with that weakness. But if you can't be okay being weak, you'll never be strong.
Oh, that's very true.
You know, and is it strength to ignore everything you need to work on? Is that really strength? Something to think about.
Yeah. And everybody needs to think about that. That's very deep. We want to be stronger and we want to look strong in the world, but it's not helping you.
Yeah.
You got to talk to someone.
And I would even say, like, above strength is courage.
Yeah.
And courage is looking at the thing you don't want to look at. It's looking at the fear, but doing it anyway. Like, I think if we pursued courage instead of strength, you'd have the ability to step into your weakness, but also your strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you explain that osteopathy sometimes face skepticism? That some critics misunderstand this industry. Because, you know, how would you explain that rather than other industries?
It's a good question. I've never answered that one before. I would say that osteopathy is a growing movement. And the reason why people can be skeptical, I know that a lot of general practitioners or doctors can be skeptical of osteopathy.
Yeah.
And they tend to favor physiotherapy. And that's not to say that one is better than the other. But physiotherapy, one, has been around for a lot longer. There's also a lot more research and science to say what it does works. And if we even look from a human nature standpoint, like, we want certainty. And that's why a lot of people love science, because it gives certainty to a phenomenon. I struggle to say that. With osteopathy, one, there isn't as much research that has been done to say it works. And some people need to see it. You know, that's why some people can struggle with faith, because it's like, you can't see it. And if I can't see it, maybe I don't believe it. Because as humans, we want certainty, because if we have certainty, then we can relax. And the other thing as well is it's very hard to clinically do studies to say certain things work. There's so many variables.
Yes.
You know, in order to get a repeatable kind of outcome, you need to limit the amount of variables there is to kind of repeat that to then say it works. You can't always do that because there's so many variables. And the more I do this, there is so many variables that are so unique to that individual. They might have this similar presentation, but those pieces that lead to that person's experience is so different. And I think it would be very hard to scientifically prove that. And there's people like Joe Dispenza who are doing great work where they're really taking the woohoo or the alternative, I guess, approaches and bringing science to it. But again, it's like, are we going to wait for the science to say something works before we start trying it? Or are we going to kind of take that leap of faith and be like, okay, I'm going to trust the individual in front of me. I'm going to trust this approach. And I'm going to see if it works for me.
Yes.
Because that's so different, because it's like the science might say that that works, but that individual, that approach isn't for me. Yes. So I think that that's what can lead to people, I guess, being a bit skeptical.
Have you ever encountered resistance from your client? Or they're like, let's see, what are you going to do?
I think not necessarily osteopathy. I think that if people come to me, they've either, they're like, I want to try an osteopath. I have tried an osteopath. I got recommended to try an osteopath. But there's also a lot of people that see me online and they're like, I just want to see you, Ash.
Yes.
They might not even know I'm an osteopath, which again, it's like, that's completely different to science. That's a person having this gravitational resonance being like, I want to try him. I feel like we're the right fit. He gets me.
Like me.
And that is way more profound in terms of a trust standpoint, but also a success point than, I guess, purely going on the science of that is the right approach. And that's not to say that there's not a place for science. There is definitely a real and needed place for science. But I think based off your question being around skepticism, I think that these areas kind of can contribute to that.
And also, when you said that people get attracted, certain individuals get attracted to you, maybe because when you're putting your content out or the videos that they see on your Insta page and stuff, that's exactly what they're going through. So you're touching their pain point.
Yeah.
And it's no fluff around. So they're like, oh, this guy is talking exactly what I'm going through right now. So he's the right person to go to. And I would always say to people, like, when you're putting your content out, always keep it simple for everyone to understand. Don't use too many these words these days which are really famous. Just keep it simple in layman's language so everybody can connect to you, from younger to the older people, right? As we're coming to the last segment, if you have anything in your mind that you want to add or talk to people or a message, anything that's on your mind.
I think the last thing would be just touching on what you said, and that's why Instagram can be so powerful.
Yes.
Because people can get to know you before they even work with you. They take in how you speak. They take in the words you use. They take in your story. I think that's why social media has been so powerful for my business, is because once upon a time, you would Google a clinic, you'd check that person's availability, and you'd book in. And there was so much unknown and mystery. Whereas these days you can kind of shop, and I kind of love when clients come to me from social media because they feel like they know me and we've never met. And they've already decided consciously or unconsciously whether they trust me. And I think it's that resonance. And like you said, if people talk with complicated words, yes, you might sound smart, but if people can't understand you, it actually triggers a fight or flight response.
Yes.
And they're not going to take in that information. Their short-term memory is going to cut off because that's what happens in a stress response, and they might not even retain it. So I think that coming from we're on the same level and that relatability, that's going to build the trust. It's going to build the resonance. It's going to build the relationship, because while you do come to me as a practitioner, it's the relationship that we got to build, because that's where you will likely give me more information about your story, more pieces of the puzzle, that if you maybe felt this big kind of inferior, superior kind of dynamic going on, you might not open up and leave the very thing that you need, or that piece of the puzzle that's missing, that I can then bring together. So I think that relationships, just in any area of life, is the key.
So you recommend everybody should give it a shot?
100%.
Not just stick to what is a chiropractor. It's nothing against any industry, just like with me, chiropractor is not for me. I don't like my neck to be cracked or somebody. It's not that I'm not, the person who's doing is not capable. It's well qualified. It's just my body and my energy says, don't want to do it. I got it once, but then I felt not really good after a few days. It's not the chiropractor's fault. It's just like my body maybe not used to it and I don't want to get it done. Rather than the way you did it, release the muscle, and that just opens up everything, right? So as Ash said, give it a go. Speak to him. I will link all his socials, his website in the link below on the video. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Ash. He will be there. Or you can see his content and see which pain point he's touching onto, and go from there. Go for consultations, speak to him, and I'm pretty sure he can help you out. And if he can't help you out, he will also let you go. Because if you're not connecting and if you're not in the right energetic mindset or that field, maybe you have to come back some other day, because that's not the right day. Am I right?
For sure.
It could happen, because otherwise it's a restriction. You're not letting person into your field so he can take some shit out and throw it away, I would say.
That's it.
Yeah. That's it from us today. And thank you, Ash, for your time. I know you have a busy schedule ahead today. You got to run. It was an amazing chat. It was a really good chat with you, and soon I'll be there for my next session. Until then, thank you. I hope you do your talks and you grow, thrive in the new chapter coming after 31st. And I'll be here. I'll be back with another amazing guest. Until then, take care of yourself. Don't take things too seriously. Life is good. Ciao.
Thanks so much for having me, man. It's been great.
No problem. Thank you.